Hey guys, what's up? Happy Halloween! I can't believe it's finally here. I am so excited. I really hope you guys enjoyed the Pompoween season. This year, you may have noticed it was much more relaxed, much more chill. But if you're new here and don't know what I'm talking about, then welcome. My name is Pompberry. And for the previous 2 years, I did 31 days of Halloween. This year, I did not do 31 days. I decided to take it a little bit slower this year so that I could enjoy the season. And in that spirit, today I'm going to be doing something that is very silly. And it is 100% the fault of one of my followers. A while back, I asked you guys on Instagram what looks I should do for Pompoween, and one of the looks suggested to me was a Halloween gnome. Now, I had never heard of a Halloween gnome. I'd never seen one, so I obviously went to Google, and turns out they're the most adorable freaking thing in the whole entire world. So I decided to dress up like one. Cause why not? I just wanted to do something that was really silly and really relaxed for the final Pompoween video. So this video is dedicated to Jamie, aka the Almighty Demon Queen. She was the one who suggested this look. It's all your fault, dude. So today's look is going to be very silly and pretty simple, but it won't use simple techniques. I'm going to be doing a bit of hair laying, and I'll also be using prosthetics for the first time ever on this channel. I repeat, for the first time ever on this channel, I will be doing prosthetics. You guys have always requested that I do prosthetics. There's a reason why I don't do them, and I'm gonna get into it. But before I begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. So I put on my wig cap just to get my hair out of the way, and I'm gonna start with the prosthetic piece. Now, why don't I do prosthetics here on the channel? I'm gonna tell you as I clean my skin. First of all, the world of prosthetics is vast and great. There's so much that goes into prosthetics that I don't feel like I could adequately teach them here on the channel if I didn't just dedicate the entire channel to them. I highly recommend, if you are interested in learning about prosthetics, in learning that type of special effects, you should subscribe to the Stan Winston School of Character Arts. It is an amazing source for anyone who wants to learn. So many of my professional makeup artist friends are subscribed to the Stan Winston School. It is an online school, and all their lessons are through video that you can watch and repeat as many times as you want. It's an amazing source. I cannot stress it enough. I am a Stan Winston student. I have studied prosthetics in person before. I've made prosthetics, I've sculpted, I've made molds, I've done the whole thing. But they don't just offer courses on prosthetics, they offer it on a million different things, like monster making in general. So they teach you how to make teeth, how to make eyes, how to concept design, how to make animatronics, everything. Okay, while I keep talking, I'm going to just prep my skin with the Skin Saver Barrier Lotion. So whenever I want to learn something new, or I've just got a question regarding something, like I've forgotten a step for a certain type of application or something like that, I'll just go and watch their lessons, and they're amazing. So with all that being said, no, this video is not sponsored by them. I just think that if you're serious about learning prosthetics, you have to be serious about studying. And they're classes that you can take from anywhere in the world. So I think it's an awesome deal. And they always do like discounts on their memberships. I joined when they were having like a half off sale. So keep on the lookout for those because they do those every so often. Okay, now that my skin is cleaned and prepped, I'm going to use the Rubberwear Extra Large Bulbous Nose. And it comes packaged like this. There's a picture of it on the back so you can see what it looks like. This nose isn't as big as what I wanted to use. Like I really wanted a super round, almost like a clown nose, but I didn't find any pre-made pieces that were that big. So I'm gonna go with this one. And this is a foam latex piece. So it looks a little something like this. It's very squishy, very soft, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of trimming before I start applying it. It comes with the nostrils filled in. I'm gonna have to rip those out, but it also comes with this little tube in here that I'm going to have to cut out so that I can actually fit it on my nose. Because if I try to put it on, it just kind of sits above my nose and not on my nose. But I just wanted to show you how it came. So for the nostrils, I'm actually going to just tear them out. It tears quite easily, and I prefer tearing than cutting because when you tear it at the weakest point. So at the thinnest point of the edge is where it's going to come undone. So I just prefer tearing it off. This little tube guy, I'm gonna cut him out. I'm just gonna trim it like half and see if that's enough or if I need to trim a little bit more. Oh my god, this is so funny. Yeah, I'm gonna trim a little bit more. So I'm just basically turning it inside out. And foam latex pieces are pretty resilient. So you don't have to be too careful. You just have to be careful of the edges. And there we go. An almost perfect fit. Oh man. Okay. So I'm going to start with this guy. And what I'm going to need to glue it down is Prosthetics. This is a prosthetic adhesive. It is water-based. Now, what I'm going to show you today, I'm not going to go super in depth into the process. Again, I'm not here to teach you about prosthetics because I could literally spend all day talking about them and not even scratch the surface. So I'm just going to show you how I'm applying this specific piece. So with Prosthetics, ideally you're applying the glue onto the skin and onto the piece, and then once it dries, you're joining the two together. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to take it on a Q-tip. You can use a brush. I just don't want to deal with cleaning a brush later, and I'm just going to apply it. I'm going to start with the bridge of my nose. I'm not going to just apply glue everywhere all at once, because if the edge sticks down wrong, then that's it, you're done. So I'm just applying glue down the center of my nose, and then I'm going to do the same onto the piece as well. Just applying it in there. And this glue behaves kind of like lash glue. It goes on white, but you'll know it's dry once it's clear, and it only becomes tacky once it's dry. While this glue is still wet, it will not be tacky, unlike your ass. Now I'm going to try to place this exactly where I want it. I'm gonna make sure it's not crooked. I'm gonna line it upright, and then once I'm happy with the placement, which I don't know if I am just yet, okay, then I can press down to secure the middle. And then I'm gonna work from the center outwards. And this is why doing prosthetics on yourself sucks, because you need to have like two hands and you need to be able to do things that you can't necessarily do on yourself, but we're gonna figure it out. I poured out the Prosthetics into a CC cup to make my life easier, by the way, and I'm just gonna grab some more, and I'm just going to peel back the piece and apply glue onto the sides of my nose and then the piece itself, and I'm gonna have to hold it like this until the two sides are dry so that I can join them together. I think I'm gonna go all the way to the edge because I've anchored the nose down, so I know that the position is right. So I'm just going to glue all this, but always being careful with the edges. And the barrier lotion that I used in the beginning, the Skin Saver, it makes removal easier. So it's great, especially for something like this where I'm not going to be wearing it for like a 12-hour long day. I'm just going to wear it to take photos and that's it. And then I want to take it off. So it makes the removal much easier. It creates a barrier on the skin that protects it from the adhesives and everything. So it's just a good idea if you don't need your prosthetic to stay on forever and ever, and you just want something that will be gentle on the skin. Okay, this is going to be hard because I need a mirror up close, but I also need both of my hands and I don't know what to do. You can see the glue has gone dry, and I'm just going to gently stick this down, smoothing out the edges, pressing outwards. And then here I'm going to line it up kind of where I can. There you go. That's the edge down. I still need to stick down this little piece right here. It might not stick fully because it might not fit my nose properly. This is a prosthetic that isn't made for my nose specifically, so it's normal to have like sizing issues. I'm just gonna let that do its own thing and then do the same on the other side. Now this side is down and the bottom is a little too big for me. It does kind of cover up my nostrils. I can still breathe through it, and I'm not too worried because I'm gonna have like a big old mustache, so it's not an issue that it doesn't line up perfectly with my nose. I'm not mad at this. And there's the nose! Honk honk. Oh, this is ridiculous. And I know the color looks crazy, but we'll get to that in a second. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something to the edges, and it's a trick that I learned from a friend of mine who is also a professional makeup artist. Her name is Allie. You should definitely go check out her Instagram. She does some amazing stuff, and it's a trick for specifically foam latex pieces, and it's to kind of help blend the edges out. I know that you can't blend foam latex edges. There's no way you can dissolve them or blend them in that sense, but this is a little trick that just helps them to lay even flatter on the skin. And it's gonna sound super weird and super counterintuitive, but trust me on this. I'm going to mix 1 part spirit gum to 1 part alcohol. I'm just using a tiny bit, so I just poured a little bit into a CC cup and then just pouring a few drops of alcohol in here and mixing it up. And I think this is a Dick Smith technique. I could be wrong, but I think I remember her telling me it's a Dick Smith technique, which makes total sense. And I'm just gonna take this, brush it along the edges, And you can see that just kind of melts the edge into the skin, which is crazy because this is a foam piece. It's not like an encapsulated silicone piece, but this just lays the edge down super, super well. And this is just a neat little trick for when working with foam, because if you don't have a good edge on foam, then you're kind of screwed. But the edges on this piece are great. The rubberware pieces in general are really good. They're by Rob Berman. Really easy to find too. They're sold at most makeup supply stores. And I'm just going all around with this. Now while this dries, I'm going to cut up a little piece of sponge. This is a textured sponge, and this one in particular comes in a giant block. So you can cut out the size of sponge that you want yourself. And I'm just gonna grab a corner, and I'm going to start the first base of paint on this. This is an essential step for any foam latex piece because they are so bright, and you'll have a really hard time matching it to the skin if you just try to put color over it like this. Also, you need to seal foam latex. It's basically like a giant sponge on your face. So to kind of kill two birds with one stone, I'm going to be going in with Pax paint, and this is in the color Deep Mauve. Some people call this the blood layer, but it's basically to mimic kind of what goes on under your skin. So you have muscle and blood under the skin, and that's what we're going to paint here so that you can go in with your skin color on top and it'll look seamless. It's a paint that was invented by Dick Smith, and it's basically Prosade mixed in with acrylic paint. So because it's Prosade, it's an adhesive, it creates a layer that will seal the prosthetic piece so that you can paint on top of it. I'm just going to cover the entire piece in that, and the reason I'm using this little textured sponge is that I can kind of feather out the edges to kind of blend the prosthetic piece into your skin with a little bit of color. I decided I wanted to finally do prosthetics here on the channel just because it's something different. You know, I've never done it, and it was Halloween, so I figured it was a special occasion. Since the look was really silly, I thought I'd compensate by using serious quote-unquote techniques for it. And then on top of this, you can use rubber mask grease paints, you can use alcohol colors, but today I'm actually going to try using my foundation and seeing how that works out. Today I'm just having fun, I'm just experimenting, and oh, I forgot to show you, I'm using the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue foundation, and the reason I wanted to try this out is because it's a very full coverage foundation, and so I thought it would work pretty well. You can see that that's already blending into my skin really well. I know that this looks crazy, but it's necessary when working with a foam appliance. And this is working out pretty well. I'm going to be making the nose very pinky anyway, so I don't mind the redness kind of peeking through a little bit. This edge here looks a lot cleaner than this edge here. This one, you can see there's a slight edge to it. I feel like I should have gone in and fixed it with a little bit of Cabo Patch. I feel like I could still do it. I mean, it's not ideal to do it over foundation, but I might do a little bit just to show you guys. So when you have some rough edges that you want to kind of blend better into the skin, the most common thing to use is Prosade cream, also known as Cabo Patch. It's basically a thickened version of Prosade. You saw that Prosade was liquid. This is literally a cream. It's solid. And I'm just going to grab a little bit on my textured sponge. It's very important that you use a textured sponge for this. And then all you do is go over the edge a little bit, trying to smooth it out in a way. But you can also hide a rough edge with some paint. If you do skin texture in a certain way, you can hide the edges a little bit. But you can see here, I've just covered up that edge, and now it just kind of fades into the skin, and that's why it's so important to use a textured sponge for this, because your skin has texture. You can't just plaster this on and have it go on smooth. You're going to be able to see it from a mile away. You need it to be textured so that it just kind of blends into the skin. And I also know that the color isn't completely right. I'm still gonna fix it. I'm still gonna work on this. That was just the first layer of foundation. While this dries, I'm gonna go ahead and prep my hair for the hair laying. So the hair I'm gonna be using today is crepe wool, and it looks a little something like this. It comes in a braid. Oh, I just ripped that without opening it. Comes in a braid like so that you have to undo. And I'm going to use this for the eyebrows and a little bit of the mustache and beard, because the beard that I have is very harsh. It's very much like Party City beard, but I want it to look good. And this is just a little trick that will take it to the next level and make it look more realistic. So I'm just gonna take the braid, and because I don't want it to have this texture, I want it to be straight, I'm going to steam it. So I just have this little compact portable steamer that I like to use for this. Be careful when working with steam, it will burn you. I have burnt myself seriously before with steam. I literally got a tattoo to cover up the scar, so be careful, please. And I actually have another video where I do this technique as well. I'm gonna leave it linked right up here. It was my Animals of the Amazon video where I turned myself into a monkey. Okay, I've propped this up so that you can see what I'm doing, and I'm just going to let it steam, and I'm gonna grab the crepe bowl. Being careful not to get my hand near the steam. I'm just going to straighten it out, flipping it over to make sure you get all the sides. I don't know how much I'm going to need, so I'm just going to steam out a good amount. Just keep pulling and steaming. Then once it's straightened, you can pull at it to get pieces. So you just tug at it lightly and it will come undone. And then you're left with these little kind of bundles of hair. You kind of untwist it and then pull at it. Now I'm left with all these bundles of hair, and I'm going to set it aside. I was just doing that while I waited for the glue to dry. Now that this is dry, I'm just going to lightly powder it with the Skin Illustrator Zero Color Powder. This powder is pretty intense, so I really want to tap off the excess and just go in very lightly and just get rid of the tackiness. Now I'm going to continue with the coloring, and since we're doing different techniques today, since we're not doing normal makeup, I'm going to go in with some alcohol paints. This is the Complete Skin Tone palette from Real Creations, and I think I'm going to go in with the Warm Skin Tone. And if you don't know alcohol colors, these paints have to be activated with alcohol. If you want like a super in-depth lesson on these paints, I have one up on my Patreon that you can go check out. I go super in-depth on how to use them. I also have a video coming up on how to do bruises using different techniques, including alcohol paints. So I'm not going to get super in-depth here, but you basically have to activate them with alcohol. I'm using 99%, but you can totally use 91%. That's usually what I use. They say that you can't activate it with anything but 99, and that's just not true. I use 91% all the time, but I'm taking it on a little fluffy brush, and I'm just going to stipple this on. This is a fluffy brush that has kind of a flat edge to it so that I can get the texture from the brushes. I really just want texture here, and this is just going to blend the color a little bit better in with my skin tone. And with alcohol colors, you can spatter them, you can paint them on, and kind of work however you want. They're great for getting real subtle effects. Just be careful when using them around the nose because of the fumes. Let the alcohol evaporate a little bit from the brush. I think I'm also going to go in with the medium skin tone and do a little bit of that. And with prosthetics, you just always want to work in layers. So I'm just doing layers of color at a time. I'm going to be making this a lot pinker, going to give a lot of color to it, but I just kind of want to match it to my skin tone first, just a bit. Doesn't have to be too perfect, but I just want to get somewhat of a match. And I'm going to go in with my foundation on the rest of my face, or at least the parts that are going to be visible, which are basically my cheeks. That's pretty much it. But I'm going to do a little bit around my eyes just because I have a lot of darkness there and I don't want it to look perfect, but I just want to get rid of that a little bit. I just want to have kind of a clean canvas, but I don't want to go overboard with the coverage. And just using the excess that's on my brush around the edges, you can see that blends in pretty nicely now. I've got a big nose now. I'm not going to worry about foundation anywhere else because my face is literally going to be covered. So I'm just going to go ahead and powder my eyes so that they don't crease, and under as well. Now I'm going to go with my WM Creations full color palette, and I'm going to be using these shades right here to add redness to the face. I'm going to keep using my little fluffy brush, and I'm going to start with this shade right here. It's just called Pink, and I'll start by just stippling some color at the end of the nose and bringing it to the nostrils. And I want this to be splotchy and uneven. I want it to look like broken capillaries. So I'm concentrating it on the tip and then just kind of applying it as a lighter wash as I go. But I also want to bring it onto the face as well. I'm gonna have like bright rosy cheeks, but I want it to look like broken up veins. I don't want it to look like I put on blush, you know what I mean? I want it to look like I'm a little gnome who just is very red. And I got too much on my brush right there, but I'm gonna blend that out in a little bit so it'll be fine. I'm just doing this in random patterns so that it looks blotchy. And be careful around the eyes again because of the fumes. Then I'm going to switch over to the reddish pink, and I'm going to use that where the capillaries would be more intense. Capillaries, that's a word that I can never master. I usually say capillaries because that's the British way to say it. I don't know why, but I'm going to concentrate that around the nostril because that's usually where people are the most red. And it's going to look like I have a cold, probably. That's okay. Then I'm going to get right under the nose with that as well and around the very tip. Now there's some bubbles in the prosthetic. That's why you can see like these dots. I'm just gonna pretend that the gnome has really big pores right there. I could patch that up, but I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna hide it with some freckles, so it'll be okay. I'm gonna bring that redness all the way up. You can see just by doing some blotchy coloring, it really helps to hide the edge. And that's the whole idea with painting, is that you want to do it in a way that it helps conceal the piece. I look like I've got a serious cold or like some sort of, I don't know, but it's all good. Now I'm actually going to draw some broken capillaries, and I'm going to take the red and I'm probably going to mix it with the reddish pink. I'm going to take that on a little teeny tiny liner brush, and I'm going to mix that, and I'm probably going to dilute it really well. I just want kind of a wash of that color, and I'm going to take that and I'm just going to draw a few little broken capillaries, and that will also help to hide the seams. This is the type of thing that's easier to do on someone else because you can see certain angles. Like, it's hard for me to see like right here in the nostril, so I'm kind of doing this blindly, but I feel like I can still get away with it. And you can see that's just a little step, but it just adds some more texture. It just adds a little something, makes it a little more believable. And you don't want to draw just on the prosthetic, you want to draw on your skin as well so that it helps to blend everything together. And I think I might also do some on the cheek just to have like some broken veins there. It's like a little gnome with rosacea. Oh my god. Why am I doing this? Oh man. You know what? This year I just wanted to have fun with Halloween, and to me this is fun. Now I know it looks really red and really intense, so I'm gonna dial it down using a chip brush. And these brushes are used a lot to add texture to a look. These cost less than $1. You can get a big box of them for 10 bucks. This is the 1/2 inch chip brush. I'm going to take my scissors and cut it at an angle, like so. And I'm going to do that on top of the trash can so that bristles don't go flying absolutely everywhere. So I cut it like that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to grab, I think, a little bit of the highlight tone, which is this pale yellow color here. And I'm going to swish this around in here. I'm going to get it really wet, really saturated with product. And to be able to do spattering, you want to make sure that the brush is pretty wet. And I should have grabbed a popsicle stick, but I'm going to just use my finger. And I'm just going to go ahead and spatter away. Whoa. And being careful with the eyes. And I'm just going to do a light layer of that all over. And that's going to knock back the red a little bit and add some more texture to the skin. You can see it's just a light bit of spatter. I think I might grab a little bit of the porcelain skin and do the same thing. It kind of goes everywhere, and that's kind of the point, but it sucks doing it on yourself because you have to close your eyes while you're doing it, otherwise it will go in your eye. So I can't control it that well, but I'm still getting a little bit of spatter. Ow! I just whipped myself with a brush. Oh no. Don't do that. And you see it just breaks the skin up a little bit, gives it more texture. It just blends everything together because you want your skin and the prosthetic to have the same texture to it. So just doing that all over kind of helps. Now I have some very textured skin, which is usually the opposite of what we want. And now I'm going to go in with the Skin Illustrator Dark Flesh Tone palette, and I'm going to do some little freckles all over. And I could do the spattering technique to do the freckles, but because I don't have a lot of control because I'm doing it on myself. I'd rather not risk getting just like a brown splotch on my face, so I'm going to manually do the freckles. And I think I'm going to go in with the color Espresso number 1 to start with. Whenever I do freckles, I like to do a few different shades so that it looks more realistic, and I'm just going to dot that on and pat it. This might be a little too light, but I'll use this kind of as my base. And this just adds even more texture to the skin. Yeah, this is looking a little too light, but since I started, I'm just going to do a little bit of this all over. I'm going to go in with Midnight Brown, but I have a feeling that all the colors in this palette are a little too warm tone. I might have to go in with a different brown. Ooh, no, I think I like this one. And I'm painting the freckles on and then immediately dabbing with my finger to kind of soften them up a little bit. And you know what? I might do the splattering technique. I feel like it'll look more natural. I just want to get some bigger ones down with this as well though. Especially on these little imperfections in the nose. I want to make sure that gets like covered up by a freckle and gets hidden by a freckle. Okay, that might be a little too strong. I'm gonna go in, fix these up. I'm just gonna knock them back a little bit. And I kind of want to knock everything back a little bit. Sometimes you have to push it to then knock it back. It's all about working in layers. I'm gonna use the color Bamboo 1 from this dark flesh tone palette. I'm just gonna use that to knock things back a little bit. You can see that just kind of mellows it out a little bit. Sometimes you need that, and it's just a matter of layering things. And because of the layering, I lost a little bit of the capillaries, so I'm just gonna go in and redo a few of them just because I don't want to lose that detail. But I don't want to overdo it. Just a little bit here and there. I'm also just dotting the color strategically, kind of contouring the bulbous part of the nose to make it really stand out, and really just kind of dotting the color in a random pattern. And that really helps to bring out the shape of the nose. You don't necessarily have to draw in the capillaries. Just by dotting the color, it gets that effect across as well. And now I'm starting to get crazy red again, but it's fine. It's what I want. I want to have a super rosy nose. I'm also just gonna add a tiny bit of redness right under the eyes. I don't want to get too close to the eyes because again, the fumes, you have to be very careful, but I'm just adding a little bit of redness close to the eyes and kind of contouring the bridge of the nose. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of spattering with a freckle color. I'm going to mix a few browns from this palette. I'm just going to take a little bit of all of them and just load the brush up with alcohol and then do just a little bit of freckling on the cheeks and the nose. And then literally as a last touch, I'm just going to take the pink color on my fluffy brush again and just hit the tops of my cheeks, really my cheekbones, and blending it out to just get that really rosy effect. Oh my god, I look crazy. I'm bringing it kind of up around my eyes. And then I'm also just going to hit the bridge of my nose with this to just give that cutesy pink look, and just hit the very tip of the nose. Just a little. Okay, I'm back to the crazy pinkness, but you see that it's a process. It's just layers and layers until you're happy with it. And I feel like now I'm pretty happy with it. It's funny because it looks way more intense on camera than it does in person. In person, it looks way more mellow, which is weird. Like on camera, it looks kind of insane, but in person it doesn't look that crazy. But I think this is it for the makeup portion of this look. Okay, now it's time for the hair laying, and I'm going to be using spirit gum for this. And if you're going to do this, you're going to need a pair of sharp scissors and obviously whatever hair you want to lay down. I'm using the crepe bowl today, and I'm going to be doing some crazy eyebrows. I don't think I've actually ever laid eyebrows down, so this is going to be interesting. I want to make them really crazy and cartoonish, and I didn't bother laying mine down. I think I'm just going to do a quick layer of spirit gum over my brows just to kind of flatten them down a bit, but I don't really care that they're there. And if you've never used spirit gum, it's a glue that becomes tacky the more you touch it and the more it dries out. So I'm just laying down my brows. That's all I'm going to do with my brows. Then I'm going to be taking the crepe wool hair and grabbing, I'd say about this amount. Let's see see how it goes. I obviously don't need it to be this long for eyebrows, so I'm going to cut it. This is going to be a process. I'm going to use this little tuft. I'm going to trim it, make sure it's very, very straight and very clean. I don't want any stray hairs. Then I'm going to grab, and I think I'm going to start with the end and then move forward. That makes more sense. I'm going to just put down some spirit gum and use the brush to get it tacky, and you'll see that it starts pulling. I don't know if you can see that. That's when you can go and stick down your hair. And you have to think about the direction of the hair growth. I'm going to stick it outwards like so. And there you go. Some crazy, crazy brows. Then I just grab my next tuft of hair. Probably gonna grab a little bit less, cut it to the length that I want, and then make sure that the end is well trimmed, and then some more spirit gum in the next area. And I want these to be really, really bushy, really cartoonish brows, like for real. Be careful with the hair that you laid down previously. And I'm gonna stick this with a diagonal hair growth, and there you go, some more crazy eyebrow. And honestly, I don't even know if my eyebrows are gonna show in this look, but I figured I would do some crazy eyebrows because why not? Some like crazy old man eyebrows. My hat's gonna be pulled down and I have bangs, but I wanted to, just in case my brows show, I just wanted to have some big bushy crazy brows. And you just keep doing that, little layer at a time. Now they're going to go kind of diagonally, but almost horizontally. You want to make sure it's tacky. And then I grabbed quite a bit more this time around. I don't think it's all going to stick down, but I'm going to take that and boom, right there. And then just cleaning it up, just taking out all the strands that didn't get glued down, and you can see my crazy, crazy gnome brows are starting to take shape. Now, I'm not doing a super sophisticated job of gluing down these brows. I'm being pretty rough with it. I'm not taking my time to do really precise layers, but because this is more of a cartoony character look, it doesn't matter that much. I feel like it's going to work just fine. And that's also the reason I wanted to leave my brows. I didn't want to do a brow cover up because you can kind of see my brows underneath, and that helps the brows look more natural. It kind of gives a root to them, but this is crazy. Oh, this is actually so much fun. And then I'm gonna do one last tuft right here at the front. And I'm taking a bit of a smaller tuft, and I want to do it at an angle, kind of going up, and then just like so, and pulling out the ones that don't get stuck down, because you will get a lot of those. And there you go! Oh my god! My crazy gnome brows. I didn't think that I was gonna make them this long, but I kind of love it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of really love that they're this long and crazy. I'm sorry, but this is actually ridiculous. Oh my god. This nose and these brows. Oh man. What am I doing with my life? Okay, now that these bad boys are on, it's time to put on my beard. So the beard that I got came in a set with a wig. It's very much a Party City, quote unquote, beard and wig. And it looks like this. This is what the back looks like. It has 2 hoops to put around your ears, and that's how you prop it up. But it was too loose on me. It was like hanging low. But I just tied some ribbon to the ear loops so that I could make it tighter around my head. And I'm just going to... Whoa. Oh my god. I feel like I'm gonna have to stop the tutorial here because I'm just gonna keep on laughing. I can't. Oh no.
2 hours later.
I'm like eating hair under this. Ugh. Okay, so as you can see, this has a very harsh edge, and you can't even see my mouth. It's just like a little... Oh my god, I apologize profusely for this video. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh god. Could you imagine if the video just ended here because I couldn't stop laughing? Oh man. Anyway, you see there's this like tiny little mouth hole, which I don't care. I actually don't want my mouth to show because all the Halloween gnomes that I've seen, you can literally only see their nose. And I feel like this beard does a very good job at hiding everything else. But because there's such a hard edge around it, I wanted to do this. I wanted to lay some hair just around here to blend it into the skin a little bit better. But I realized, oh, there's so much hair that I'm just like eating. But I realized that this doesn't leave me much room to do a mustache or anything, but I'm still gonna do an edge around here. So I want to make sure I'm not eating any hair because once this is on, then that's it. This is on and I literally will not be able to take this off again. And so I might actually clip this into my wig cap. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I feel like I should do that in case this ribbon falls apart or whatever. I'm just going to clip that into my wig cap. And I'm going to need to pull it down a little bit. So it's resting like on my lip. This is not comfortable at all. But I need room so that I can lay hair right here. So I think I'll start with the edge here. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of spirit gum. And be careful not to get the spirit gum everywhere. The spirit gum will lift your makeup underneath. Or rather, it will likely lift your makeup. So I'm just gonna get that tacky. Then I'm gonna grab a bunch of hair, cut off the curly bit. Then I'm going to spread, make sure it isn't twisted, and I'm going to spread it out. Then I'm just going to stick it down in this area. That's it. You instantly have a much better beard. And I'm just going to kind of blend that into this beard. And now the beard matches the eyebrows, and there's also a variation in tone. I specifically bought a tone that was a little bit different than the beard, a little bit lighter, so that you'd get a variation in tone and it would make it a little more realistic. It's so weird looking in the mirror and seeing a freaking gnome staring back at me and just hearing my voice. This is so weird. I don't think I've ever done such an extreme transformation like this. I mean, I know that I've done pretty extreme transformations, but this is pretty silly. And then moving on to this area right here. And this is a technique that's used often to hide lace if you're putting on an actual fake beard that's knotted into lace. To hide the edges of the lace, you'll often lay hair around it, and it just kind of looks like the hair is growing out of the skin. Same thing, just whoop, like so. And then I'm just kind of opening it up so that it covers the beard underneath. Oh my god. Oh my god. But I'm actually realizing that I don't want it covering up my actual cheek. Pulling this down a little bit because I want like the rosy cheeks peeking through, you know what I mean? So I'm actually gonna pull this down. I'm gonna have to glue some more right there. Now I'm gonna go under the nose and do the mustache bits. Now I want the mustache to be pretty fluffy. I'm gonna try to fit as much hair as I can under here. This is a pretty thick bunch, but I'm gonna grab this and stick it on one side, and then I'm gonna grab another bunch and stick it on the other side. And I want one sticking out diagonally this way and one sticking out diagonally this way to mimic the growth of a mustache. Oh my god. It's so weird seeing this in the mirror. You guys have no idea. This is giving me weird, like, it's weird. And you can fluff up the mustache to give it a little more shape. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, I wanted like a big fluffy bushy mustache. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I actually need to steam a little bit more hair. So I've steamed some more crepe wool, and now I just have to finish off this little bit, and then we'll be done. I feel like I could have done some like wrinkles around my eyes and stuff, but the point is to not see my eyes in the end result, so I didn't really worry about that, but that's always a step that you can do if you want to go like all out. I feel like it's pretty fine as is. Once you've laid on all your hair, you can go in with some hairspray to help shape it a little bit better. Like I want to make sure that the mustache stays in place and stays really floofy, so I'm just going to very lightly hit it with a little bit of hairspray just so it'll keep the shape. And you can do that to brows as well. Just really anything that you want it. Oh, my eye. Don't do what I just did, kids. Okay, now I think I'm done. I'm going to put on my wig and my outfit, and I'll be back to show you the finished look. And this is the finished look. I cannot believe that this is me under all of that. So you can't see how big this hat is. Let me zoom you out. Okay, so this is how long the hat is. It's basically the size of my arm. It is ridiculous. I actually made it from scratch. If you want to see how I made it, I posted a little video over on TikTok. Be sure to follow me there if you don't already. Well, actually, I know that you don't because I barely have any followers over there, so go give me a follow. So I posted the video there of the step-by-step for this hat. I made it extra long so that I could actually pull it down to cover my eyes and just have my nose showing. But I actually quite like showing this part of my face. I know that it isn't quote-unquote accurate, but I really like that you can see this part of my face. And then this is just a little cardigan that I actually bought last year with the intention of embroidering it so that these little dots would be pumpkins. And I started doing that today. There's a little pumpkin right there. There's another one up here. Little pumpkin dude. I did a few of them, but I didn't have time to finish it for this video. And I'm wearing little overalls that you can't even see. But anyway, I hope that you are having or that you've had an amazing Halloween day. Let me know what you're doing to celebrate down below. I'm just staying home and zooming with some friends. Keeping it safe, but still having fun. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this. This was definitely, I feel like, the most different out of all my looks. I hope that you enjoyed seeing a little bit of prosthetic work, and I really, really hope that you enjoyed this year's Pompoween. I had a lot of fun doing it this year. I tried to stick to looks that I really, really wanted to do, so it ended up being very fun for me in the end. I actually left out some looks that I wanted to do, but I ended up not having time to do them. But just because I didn't have time to do it during Pompoween doesn't mean that I'm not gonna do it. I will get to it eventually. I just really wanted to relax this year and not overextend myself and overwork myself. But as you know, Halloween is all year round here on the channel. So if there's a character that you want to see me do, please let me know down below and I'll do my best to get to your requests. I kind of can't believe it's already over. I feel like I'm rambling to end this video because I don't want it to be over. I truly did have a lot of fun with this year's Pompoween, so I hope you guys did too. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my patrons who support me, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Spooky Halloween!